Letting go is a thing that we hear a lot of. There are these beautiful little platitudes that are around, and they're all true, by the way. The question is, can you actually do it? Uh, let go and let God, we hear. This is one of those beautiful statements that came out of the 12-step programs. Letting go, sweet surrender, and so on and so forth. Lovely ideas. To what extent are you actually capable of it? My master's master, Gurudev, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi's teacher, who was known as Gurudev, used to tell a story. And it was the story of how he could watch, when he lived in the forests of central India, he could watch monkeys being caught. He lived in those forests during the Victorian era of the British Raj in India. For 50 years he lived there. And there was a particular time during the 1920s and 30s when having a pet monkey was a very popular thing, even in the West. So monkeys would be caught in places like India and transported into the homes of Hollywood people and New York people so they could come to parties with a monkey on their shoulder and so on. How do you catch a monkey? Gurudev witnessed this. You dig a little hole in the ground, and deep enough, about that deep, that a monkey can reach his hand in, and you put inside there all kinds of sweets and nuts. And then you have a piece of wood with a hole in it that is formed, just small enough that is formed, and you put it on top of the dirt and cover it with dirt and leaves and things. The unsuspecting monkey comes along and sees some sweets and sees some nuts inside there, irresistible to a monkey. They reach their hand in and grab a bunch of that, but because they have all of these sweets and nuts in their hand can't come out of the hole, and they're trapped. Now, if they were to let go of the sweets and nuts, they'd be utterly free. In fact, the monkey is absolutely free to go anytime, provided that they'll let go. But will a monkey let go of sweets and nuts even if somebody is approaching with a bag to capture them? No. They'll shout and scream in fear, holding on to the nuts and sweets that are trapping them and not let go. And then they end up in Hollywood, with a little chain around their neck and sitting on somebody's shoulder, posing for cameras. So the monkeys always are free, always free. All they have to do is let go. Why don't they let go? That idea, that rigid attachment, that my freedom, my liberty is not as valuable as a few sweets. And if we can relate to this, we really understand the monkey mentality, how a monkey arranges its own capture. Our consciousness is free at all times, but our consciousness hasn't really experienced that vast liberated state. The vast liberated state is the state that exists beyond thought. During Vedic meditation, when our mind settles down to ever-increasing subtlety of thought, stepping beyond the subtlest, quietest level to experience an unbounded consciousness state. This is a state of unboundedness. We don't have to convince ourselves to let go to experience it, because as those ever-increasing charming states progress and progress during a few minutes of practice, there comes a point where the most charming state lies just beyond this, and spontaneously the mind lets go of the tendency to think. Thinking is all about, if I go there, if I have a thought, if I solve this problem, I'll be happier. If I go there, I'll be happier. If I go there, I'll be happier. If I do this, I'll be happier. If I taste that, I'll be happier. If I touch this, I'll be happier. All this motivation to get happier. But here we are on the cusp of ever-increasing happiness, and we're just about to experience a level of happiness, the saturation with which is so great that the mind utterly will let go of thinking willingly. This willing surrender is not capitulation. It's a willing surrender in aid of a greater experience of happiness than what was previously allowed. This is spontaneous letting go. Think for a moment, if you were sitting listening to some music and it was okay, but from another room, a beautiful melody came wafting in. and your attention starts to find itself attracted to the more beautiful music, do you have to think to yourself, I think it would be a good idea for me to let go of the mediocre music and start listening to the beautiful music? Of course not. We don't have to let go of something less charming in order for the mind to move to something more charming. But evidently, we did let go. We must have let go because the mind moved without effort towards something better. So the secret of letting go is the secret of providing the greatest charm to the mind. When the mind can experience the vast bliss of the unboundedness, then we let go even of our most cherished thing, which is thinking up stuff to do to get happier. This is what thinking is all about. Anytime I'm thinking, I'm having a memory, oh, it's a memory of this, that, and the other, or I'm having a desire about this, that, and the other, or I'm making a little plot or a little plan or a little scheme. I'll go here, I'll have that, I'll sneak a little sweet here, or I'll do that, or I'll make a phone call, or I'll contact a friend, or even if I don't particularly want to call a particular person in my family, I'll do it because I'll feel happier at the end of it. So I'm seeking happiness, thinking, how to get happy, how to get happy. I'm not as happy now as I could be if ... All that thinking. How do we let go of thinking entirely? Let the mind start experiencing bliss. The moment the mind begins experiencing the bliss of the deep underlying field of being, spontaneous letting go occurs without any effort. So the secret of letting go is the secret of exposing the mind to the greatest possible charm. What is the most charming thing of all? The infinite bliss of the inner unbounded state of being. When we experience that infinite bliss, our mind happily lets go of the entire tendency to think for those few minutes during meditation. This is the awakening of baseline happiness.